Shabbat shalom. Juneteenth became a federal holiday in 2021. It's coming up on June 19th, and it commemorates the emancipation of slaves in the United States on the anniversary on which emancipation was announced in Texas. As a relatively new federal holiday, we at Temple Emunah are going to take a few moments to acknowledge the day and to learn about it. And I'd like to invite Paul Neustadt, the chair of the Racial Justice Education Committee, to share some words and to share with all of us how we're going to honor this day today here at Temple Emunah. So, come on up. Thank you, Paul.
Shabbat shalom. On this Shabbat, we are celebrating Juneteenth. I see this as an opportunity to remind ourselves that we, as Jews, share the same dream as people of color, to live in a world where there is justice for all, a country where everyone is treated with dignity and respect that they deserve, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or gender identity. A country where everyone is included in the American dream and gets to share in the rights that we have come to expect: decent housing, good health care, a good education, a safe neighborhood, and equal treatment before the law. Juneteenth is the day that Black Americans celebrate the end of slavery, and at the same time, call attention to the ongoing reality of what it means to be Black in America. To know that you and your loved ones are not safe driving a car, because you never know when an encounter with the police will end in death. To not feel safe even when you leave your home, and sometimes to not even feel safe in your own home. To be treated as if you're a potential thief whenever you enter a store. To be treated differently when you apply for jobs, or look for a job, or look for a place to live, or apply for a mortgage. To know your neighborhood isn't provided the same resources as the white and suburban neighborhoods, and to have difficulty accessing healthcare. This is the second year our congregation is marking Juneteenth. Why do we as Jews need to be honoring this date? For me, the answer is quite clear. Our identity as a people, as we were reminded at Pesach, was formed by our experience as slaves and our liberation as people. We are reminded over and over again that we are called upon to respond to that experience by pursuing justice for others. And we are reminded by our celebration of Shavuot that our freedom has a purpose: to serve God, to be a holy people. And what is at the heart of being a holy people? What does it mean to be a holy people? For the prophets, it is to pursue justice. Our celebration of Juneteenth is a reminder that there is grave injustice occurring in our society. And it's our responsibility as a people and as a congregation to be aware of it and to be involved in fighting that injustice. And it's not just a matter of responsibility. It's also about preserving our own humanity. For if we stand idly by, then we harm our own humanity. We also need to remember that as a people, we are more diverse than we may sometimes think. We include people of color who are very much impacted by the racism that exists in our country. This Juneteenth, we are calling attention to mass incarceration, a phenomenon created by policymakers and politicians reacting to the unrest in the nation's Black ghettos. Instead of providing the resources that would create better housing, education, and jobs, they created policies and laws that have resulted in sending Black teenagers and young men to prisons for long sentences. Meanwhile, their white counterparts in the suburbs have expensive lawyers and often are put in diversion programs or released because it's their first offense. Once in prison, people in many states lose many of their citizenship rights and have an extremely difficult time re-entering society because of the laws and policies that create obstacles for them. We would now like to honor the work of Joelle Gunther and Annette Corin in the Racial Justice Action Group. Arlene Chase, who's a member of the action group, will do that. And she'll also let you know about the work of the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization and its work to support returning citizens. After that, Naomi Stevenson will be sharing an excerpt of the poem by Amanda Gorman that she recited at Joe Biden's inauguration.
Thank you, Paul. Shabbat shalom, everyone. I can't think of a better occasion than Juneteenth to celebrate the leadership and ongoing accomplishments of Joelle Gunther and Annette Corin, co-leaders of the Temple Emunah Racial Justice Action Group, and all the members of that group. Would you all please stand so people will know who you are? We need more help. We're all working very hard to learn and to do what we can do to bring more justice into this world. We need to make this world a better place. And they have advised us so many ways we can work to help those that are underserved, from calling or emailing legislators for legislation that's going through that could be helpful, to larger initiatives. One of the larger initiatives was the William Allen postcard campaign. Remember all the postcards that people were working on? So we were lucky to be connected with Second Chance Justice, a group operating out of Brockton, who's very much like a little mini GBIO, interfaith, lots of shuls are engaged, lots of other communities of faith. And that campaign convinced Governor Baker to commute the sentence of William Allen from first-degree murder with no possibility of parole to second-degree murder with possibility of parole. So William Allen grew up in a broken home and moved in with another family. So the mother was like his mother, the son was like his brother, and he went with his friend. He was convinced reluctantly to go with his friend. He didn't want to go, he didn't want to be part of it, but he did reluctantly go to an armed home invasion where his friend killed someone in that home. William Allen tried to protect the women in the household. They were arrested. The boy who committed murder, got a reduced sentence and has been out for 12 or more years. William, who didn't do anything other than go with his friend, got life without parole because he pled innocent. He didn't see how he could possibly be convicted of murder in the first degree when he didn't do anything. So he spent 28 years in prison, which he used to learn job skills, to work with other prisoners. He took full responsibility for what he did and felt very badly that he had been sucked into that. And now that he's out, he was released a little while ago to his family. He wants to work to help other youth in Brockton avoid making the mistakes that he made and show them that there is hope. That he got parole gives a lot of hope to other people in prison who really are there and don't take advantage of the programs he did because they don't see the hope, because the reentry process is designed to be as big a burden on people coming out as possible. There were no tools available. However, recently, there have been some big successes in improving reentry, and we need to build on that because people got out, they didn't have IDs. They couldn't even be dropped at a homeless shelter without an ID. They had to pay for their parole when they had Corey check would keep them from getting jobs. So there's a lot of work to do. So I look forward to more of our community joining the Racial Justice Action Team and helping to repair this increasingly broken world. And there is literature you can read if you want to learn more about criminal justice system and other areas of inequity. And Paul Neustadt can point you in the direction of reading material you might like to take advantage of. So GBIO, the GBIO core team at Temple Emunah is working hard on reentry, on housing, and on mental health initiatives. So if you want to participate in any of those initiatives, please reach out to Jonina Schoenfeld or Naomi Sachs or Julie Greenberg or myself or Stan Wolf or David Landis or Lisa Kotler-Berkowitz. So Shabbat Shalom, and thank you very much. I now want to introduce Annette Corin to come up and say a few words.
I was deeply honored to be given the first Aliyah today as an honor for myself and for Joelle. And I'm very grateful to everybody here, almost everyone here in this room, signed cards, got other people to sign cards. But our work is painfully incomplete. A felony murder, which was the charge that William Allen was convicted of, was struck down by the Supreme Judicial Court years ago now, but it was not made retroactive. At least 23 other men, a spotlight team from the Globe actually did the research and tried to find as many as they could. So at least 23 men, all but one of them Black or Hispanic, are serving life sentences without parole for felony murder. Felony murder is any involvement in a felony. If you drive the car, if you are there in a different room, you're convicted of murder. In some cases, as in that of William Allen, the person who actually killed the victim was convicted of manslaughter as opposed to murder, and is long since out of and about. Yet men who said, "I am not guilty," because they knew they were not, are still serving life sentences, all with no possibility of parole. So our work is not done. And if this is of concern for you, please join us.
And thank you, Annette, and to Joelle, who could not be here today, but thank you both for really lifting up this situation and helping us, provide us with an opportunity to do something, and to Arlene and to everyone. But Annette, we're honoring you today, so thank you. And I'll invite Naomi Stevenson up to recite a poem by Amanda Gorman. Thank you.
When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. But that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge a union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it, we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. A country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens, but one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left with, for there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.